Welcome to Numismatic Vault Extra. Today, we're exploring the top 4 most valuable Sacagawea $1 coins from the United States of America, United States. In this video, we'll take a look at their current market values, highlight notable era coins, and explain the specific conditions that make certain Sacagawea dollars extremely rare, including gold tone finishes and unique color shades that have become major players in the coin collector and investor world. These rare treasures are more than just pieces of history. They're some of the most valuable coins collectors are actively hunting today. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of American currency, backhand index pointing right, this video is for you. Let's get started with the first coin. Magnifying glass tilted left money bag. The story of the 2001 Sacagawea dollar begins not with gold or royalty, but with everyday American life, a humble coin slipping quietly into circulation, unnoticed by most, yet carrying within its gleam the echoes of a nation's journey. In 2001, the United States stood at the dawn of a new millennium, brimming with technological promise, cultural shifts, and a deep curiosity about what lay ahead. In that dynamic moment, the Sacagawea dollar wasn't just currency, it was a reminder of heritage, unity, and the power of stories enshrined in metal. When the Sacagawea dollar was first introduced in 2000, it carried a bold golden appearance that caught the eye of anyone who looked a little closer. Unlike previous dollar coins, which were often ignored or confused with quarters, the Sacagawea's warm, golden color made it stand out. And on the obverse of the 2001 issue, the graceful portrait of Sacagawea captures both dignity and quiet strength, a silent yet powerful tribute to the Native American woman who helped guide the Lewis and Clark expedition through uncharted lands more than 2 centuries earlier. Sacagawea herself was a figure of courage, resilience, and exploration. Born into a Shoshone tribe, she was thrust into adversity at a young age, yet she grew to become an invaluable guide and interpreter during one of the most defining journeys in early American history. To place her image on a coin, especially a coin intended for everyday use, was a symbolic affirmation that the story of America is not only written by presidents and generals, but by those who walked beside history's currents, shaping them with quiet determination. The P mint mark stamped on the 2001 Sacagawea dollar tells us something important about this coin's origin. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest and most historic coin-producing facility in the United States. Philadelphia had produced countless coins for more than 2 centuries, and its legacy runs deep through American currency. A coin bearing its mark carries that lineage forward, from colonial times to the modern era. Yet in 2001, few people paused to consider that their dollar coins were artifacts of history in motion. In everyday life, the 2001 Sacagawea dollar was often treated like any other coin. It bought coffee, paid for bus fare, made exact change at vending machines, and sometimes slipped unnoticed into pockets and purses. Most people saw only its monetary value, $1, not realizing that time would someday transform that ordinary piece of metal into something extraordinary in the eyes of collectors and history lovers alike. One of the first things collectors began to notice about the Sacagawea dollar was its unique composition. Although not made of actual gold, its golden color came from a distinctive alloy that gave it a warm, brassy glow. This made it visually intriguing and distinct from the copper-nickel coins that dominated circulation. To the casual observer, it looked precious. To the collector, that warm gleam hinted at deeper possibilities, stories, meanings, and the potential for rare survival. Most 2001 Sacagawea dollars were spent and circulated widely, enduring the wear and tear of everyday commerce. Many lost their lustrous finishes, softened edges, and sharp details from constant handling. But in the midst of this vast ocean of circulating coins, a tiny fraction escaped the passage of time. These survivors, coins that retained their original brilliance, striking detail, and crisp surfaces, eventually became the stuff of fascination and, in rare cases, valuation that can seem astonishing. Collectors around the world began to realize that condition matters more than age alone. A coin that looks unremarkable in everyday use can become spectacular in an untouched state. When a 2001 Sacagawea dollar still gleams with original mint luster, with no signs of circulation wear, it becomes a bridge between then and now, a piece of 2001 that stands frozen in time, whispering stories of its origin, its journey, and its survival. In the world of coin collecting, stories of rare discoveries animate the imagination. These stories are not about every coin, they are about exceptions, outliers, the rare few that defy the odds. Imagine opening an old coin album passed down through generations, or pulling a forgotten roll from a dusty drawer, and finding a Sacagawea dollar that looks untouched by time. That moment, the unexpected thrill of discovery, is what drives collectors to search, study, and dream. And then there are the conversations about unusual strikes and subtle minting anomalies. In any large production run, small variations can occur. Minute differences in striking pressure, slight die misalignment, or unintentional planchet quirks. For the dedicated collector, these nuances are treasures in themselves, not because they are mistakes, but because they make a coin distinct and rare. A subtle variation can elevate a seemingly ordinary coin into something much more valuable, something that stands out in a crowd of millions. What makes the notion of value truly fascinating is not the coin's metal content, because the 2001 Sacagawea dollar is not made of silver or gold, but the story it carries and the condition it retains. When rarity intersects with preservation, the result can be breathtaking. A coin once treated casually can become a vault of history, waiting for the right moment and the right eye to recognize its worth. Collectors often speak of the 2001 Sacagawea dollar as a symbol of possibility, a reminder that value is not always where you expect it to be. The mundane can become extraordinary, and the everyday can become remarkable. It invites us to imagine that perhaps, somewhere in a jar of mixed change or a box forgotten for years, there lies a coin that holds not just monetary value, but a story that resonates across time. Yet beyond markets and auctions, the deeper beauty of this coin lies in how it connects us to the broader tapestry of American history. It reminds us that behind every image and inscription on metal, there are real stories of people, places, and ideas. Sacagawea's presence on a coin unites the narrative of exploration, courage, and resilience with the rhythms of daily life, reminding us that history lives not only in books, but in the objects we carry. In the modern coin market, where collectors seek both rarity and narrative, examples of the 2001 Sacagawea dollar that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition are prized. These coins are testimonies to survival, survivors of decades of circulation, neglect, and change. To hold one is to feel an echo of the past, a connection to the craftspeople who struck it, and to the countless hands that may have nearly lost it to time. Stories circulate among collectors about fortunate discoveries, a coin found in a forgotten envelope, a jar of loose change unearthed in an attic, or a wallet long forgotten that suddenly reveals a shimmering survivor. These moments are not just about value, they are about the joy of discovery, the thrill of chance, and the profound satisfaction of seeing hidden worth brought to light. The idea that a single 2001 Sacagawea dollar could one day command a remarkable price is rooted not in fantasy, but in the real nature of how markets value condition, rarity, and story. When demand intersects with scarcity in the collector world, prices can soar. Extraordinary examples of everyday coins can become coveted treasures, sought after by enthusiasts and investors alike. Next coin. The story of the 2000 Sacagawea dollar begins at a moment when the United States was looking for new ways to make its everyday coins meaningful, memorable, and reflective of a broader heritage. At the dawn of the new millennium, the U.S. Mint introduced a coin that would stand out in the pocket change of Americans. Not with the dull gray of nickel or copper, but with a warm, golden glow that seemed to carry the promise of a new age. This coin was the Sacagawea dollar, and its journey from ordinary currency to extraordinary collectible is a tale of history, survival, and hidden value. On the obverse of the coin we see Sacagawea, portrayed with a calm and confident gaze, clutching her child and striding forward with quiet strength. She was a Shoshone woman who, in the early 1800s, played a guiding role in the Lewis and Clark expedition, a journey that itself shaped the nation's understanding of the vast American West. To place her image on a modern dollar was more than a design choice. It was a tribute to courage, guidance, and the unsung stories woven into the fabric of American history. The D mint mark on this 2000 Sacagawea dollar tells us where it was struck. The Denver Mint, a facility with a long tradition of producing vast quantities of coins for everyday commerce. Thousands of these golden dollars poured out of Denver's presses and were released into circulation with the intention that they be used, not collected. They were meant to pay for parking meters, transit fares, and small purchases. Yet, as history has shown, objects meant for the mundane can sometimes become miraculous. At first, many Americans were confused by the Sacagawea dollar. Its size and color were different from familiar coins, and people sometimes mistook it for foreign currency or overlooked it entirely in favor of paper bills. But that very unfamiliarity is part of what makes it remarkable today. A coin that once blended into daily transactions now stands out in the eyes of collectors and historians alike. What set the Sacagawea dollar apart wasn't just its design or color, but its story. Unlike coins that commemorate presidents or national symbols, this coin honored a Native American woman whose role in early exploration was pivotal yet often overlooked. The symbolism struck a chord with people who saw in Sacagawea a figure of quiet resilience and historic significance. And though most of these coins were spent without a second thought, some were kept, saved, or forgotten, setting the stage for future fascination. When a coin is born into circulation, most collectors don't think about its long-term survival. They think about its face value and immediate usefulness. But coins that slip out of circulation early, perhaps tucked into a wallet, placed in a jar, or forgotten in a drawer, escape the wear and tear that robs most coins of their original beauty. These untouched survivors are the ones that later capture the hearts and bids of collectors. A 2000D Sacagawea dollar that retains its original luster, brilliant and gleaming as if it were struck yesterday, is not merely a coin, it is a time capsule. Its surfaces reflect light like a memory that refuses to fade. Its details, from Sacagawea's braided hair to the fine feathers of the eagle on the reverse, remain crisp and alive. These coins feel almost impossible, ordinary at first glance, but extraordinary when seen up close. Coin collectors refer to these as mint-state survivors. They are coins that have avoided circulation and remain in the condition they were in when they left the mint. In the case of the 2000D Sacagawea dollar, finding one that still reveals its original surface is akin to discovering a hidden treasure, a moment when chance, preservation, and time aligned in favor of survival. And then there is the speculation of rare varieties and striking nuances. In any large mintage, small irregularities can occur. Tiny differences in how the metal flowed, how a die struck, or how a planchet was prepared. These subtle variations, almost invisible to the untrained eye, can make one coin markedly more desirable than another. For collectors, the hunt for these subtle clues is as thrilling as the prospect of discovery itself. Stories abound in numismatic circles of long-lost coins resurfacing after decades, found in old albums, wallet change, or even in coin rolls pulled from bank bins. In a dusty attic or forgotten drawer, someone might uncover a coin that escaped the world's notice for years. When they realize that what they hold is not just old, but remarkably preserved, their hearts skip a beat. That ordinary moment transforms into a story of possibility and wonder. What makes a coin's value soar is not just scarcity, but survival in stunning condition. A high-grade 2000D Sacagawea dollar, one that looks almost untouched by time, becomes a testament to preservation. It is a reminder that not all coins age equally, and that the tiniest difference in wear can mean the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. The emotional resonance of these coins lies in their connection to both personal and national narratives. To hold a well-preserved Sacagawea dollar is to feel a link to the early 1800s, to the pioneer spirit of exploration, and to the everyday transactions of 2000 America. It spans centuries in the curvature of a coin's surface, a compact embodiment of story, context, and time. In the modern coin market, collectors prize examples that show original brilliance, sharp details, and minimal handling. The premium placed on such specimens reflects not just rarity, but the emotional and historical weight they carry. These coins are not merely currency, they are artifacts of survival, resonating with those who understand that value is not always immediately visible. The idea that a single dollar coin could one day command high prices, perhaps enough to astonish even seasoned collectors, is rooted in this blend of history, brilliance, and rarity. Because the most valuable coins are not merely old, but beautifully preserved specimens that survive the turmoil of circulation and time, their narratives become interwoven with our own sense of possibility. Beyond monetary value, the Sacagawea dollar teaches us something deeper. That stories matter. That recognition of individuals like Sacagawea, once overlooked, enriches our understanding of who we are as a nation, and that the objects we handle every day might carry within them meanings far greater than their face value suggests. So when someone today encounters a 2000D Sacagawea dollar in exceptional condition, radiant, uncirculated, and whispering of hidden histories, it is not just a rare coin they hold. It is a piece of cultural memory, a sliver of human narrative, and a testament to the unlikely ways in which ordinary things can become extraordinary treasures. For the fortunate individual who discovers such a coin in pristine state, this humble piece of metal might represent more than a collector's delight. It might become a catalyst for life-changing fortune, a reminder that hidden worth often lies in places we least expect, waiting quietly for the right moment and the right eye to recognize it. Next coin. The story of the 2002D Sacagawea dollar begins in a moment when America was deep in reflection. Not just about money, but about memory, diversity, and what it means to honor voices long overlooked. The Sacagawea dollar, introduced at the dawn of the new millennium, was unlike any previous coin. Its warm, golden color glowed in the palm of the hand, and its presence in circulation felt, at first glance, like a small change in a vast economic landscape. Yet the story of this coin, especially the Denver-minted 2002D examples, carries layers of emotion and historical resonance few pieces of modern currency ever achieve. On the obverse, the image of Sacagawea strides gracefully forward, her gaze fixed on distant horizons with quiet determination. She is not depicted in battle or in triumph, but in purpose, a young Shoshone woman who, in the early 1800s, carried her infant son across unfamiliar lands and became an indispensable guide and interpreter for the Lewis and Clark expedition. Her presence on this coin is a tribute not to conquest, but to courage and resilience, to the strength of spirit that helps shape a nation's story. The D mint mark tells us this particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint, a place where millions of pieces of American currency have been born, each intended for everyday use, each meant to be exchanged, spent, and forgotten. But some coins have a deeper destiny than their original purpose. They whisper possibility, they connect moments in history, they become artifacts of memory, and for those who understand what to look for, they can become extraordinary. In 2002, the Sacagawea dollar was still a relatively new face in everyday commerce. People would hand it over at bus fare kiosks, parking meters, mall cashiers, and vending machines without a second thought. Most spent their entire lives quietly facilitating transactions, their warm color blending with the coins and bills around them. Few imagined that decades later, some of these coins would be seen not as mundane currency, but as pieces of history worth staring at, preserving, and celebrating. Collectors often talk about survival against the odds when it comes to coins like the 2002D Sacagawea dollar. The vast majority of these coins entered circulation and wore down under the friction of everyday use. In pockets, in cash trays, in change jars, and tossed around with other loose coins. That wear, over time, dulls surfaces, rounds edges, and erases luster. Yet in a tiny fraction of coins, those forces never touched them. They remained untouched, preserved, and radiant, like rare specimens that somehow slipped through the cracks of time. The thrill for collectors is not just in age, but in condition. A coin that looks as if it were struck yesterday, with brilliant surfaces, sharp details, and a glow that seems impossible for its age, is a marvel. These untouched survivors are snapshots of the moment they were minted, frozen in the clarity of the first strike and untouched by the wear of decades. To see such a coin is to glimpse a fragment of 2002 that time forgot. But rarities are not born solely of preservation. They are also born of variation and story. Within any large mintage, tiny differences in striking pressure, subtle surface characteristics, or slight minting inconsistencies can produce variations that collectors prize. A faint doubling of a letter here, a slight shift in design alignment there. These quirks, however subtle, are the fingerprints of history that make certain coins stand apart. The emotional resonance of the Sacagawea dollar lies in its symbolism as much as its metal. Though made of a golden-colored alloy and not silver or true gold, its hue evokes images of value, warmth, and something treasured. It stands as a reminder that worth is not always literal, not defined by precious metal alone, but by the stories we attach to objects, and the memories they carry as they pass through countless hands. Imagine holding a 2002D Sacagawea dollar that still gleams with mint luster, its surfaces catching light in a way that makes the design leap out with vibrant clarity. You hold it, and it feels alive with possibility. You turn it over in your hands and see Sacagawea's face unmarred by time, her features as bold as the moment they were first struck. That moment of discovery, when a coin reveals itself to be something far more than everyday change, is what keeps collectors searching through drawers, coin rolls, and inherited jars. Collectors sometimes describe that moment with a kind of awe, the sense that they have stumbled upon a secret that has lain hidden in plain sight. A stunning, high-grade 2002D Sacagawea can stop someone in their tracks, make their heart race, make them look again, looking for imperfections that aren't there, wondering if it is too good to be true. That thrill, the moment when ordinary change becomes extraordinary treasure, is part of the human drive to seek beauty, meaning, and surprise in the world. Over time, as coins age and fewer pristine examples remain, the ones that do survive gain not just monetary value, but emotional and historical weight. They embody survival, survival against wear, survival against neglect, survival against being spent and forgotten. These coins are symbols that even the most ordinary objects can carry stories that resonate across decades. Beyond pure condition, speculation and curiosity often follow tales of possible minting variations. The idea that among millions of 2002D Sacagawea dollars there might be examples with subtle anomalies adds fuel to the collector's dream. Perhaps a slight error in striking, perhaps an unusual surface characteristic, something that makes one coin unique in a way that cannot be replicated. These possibilities drive collectors to examine every edge, every letter, every surface with care and anticipation. It's not uncommon for enthusiasts to keep an eye out for these coins in the most unlikely places, in leftover change from childhood, tucked away in old purses or wallets, buried in coin jars that have not been touched for years. The belief that a treasure might be hidden in a box of ordinary change is the kind of hope that sustains coin collecting as a lifelong passion. And then there's the moment of recognition, that instant when someone finally understands that what they hold in their hands is not ordinary at all. That instant can feel electric. It can redefine a collection, pivot a hobby, or even alter the course of someone's life. Because in the world of rare coins, the right find at the right time can indeed be transformative. The idea that a single 2002D Sacagawea dollar could one day fetch high value in the market, maybe even eye-opening sums, is rooted in the fusion of condition, rarity, history, and story. Not every coin will achieve such worth. Most will remain at or near face value. But the few that rise above, that stand out in condition or surprising detail, are the ones that collectors whisper about, hunt for, and cherish. In the end, the true treasure of the 2002D Sacagawea dollar is not only in what it might fetch, but in what it represents, a slice of American history, a reminder of journeys both literal and symbolic, and a testament to the beauty that can be found even in everyday objects. These coins remind us that history is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers from the surfaces of small things, from objects we handle without a second thought. So when you next see a Sacagawea dollar, with its golden warmth and timeless next coin, the story of the 2002P Sacagawea dollar begins in a time when coins still carried the rhythm of everyday life, jingling in pockets, paying for parking meters, and rattling in cash registers up and down Main Street. In an era where digital transactions were beginning to rise but physical money still held a tactile presence, the Sacagawea dollar stood out. Unlike worn copper pennies or silvered quarters, it glowed with a golden warmth that belonged neither to paper nor to ordinary metal. Its hue seemed to promise something special, and in many ways, it did. On the obverse of this coin stands Sacagawea, a symbol of courage, endurance, and quiet strength. She was a young Shoshone woman who, more than 2 centuries earlier, walked beside Lewis and Clark as they explored the vast, uncharted American West. With her infant son strapped to her back, Sacagawea became both interpreter and guide, a figure of resilience whose story had long waited for recognition. To place her image on a modern coin was to elevate not just a design, but a voice that had echoed through history with grace and grit. The P mint mark tells us this particular dollar was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest branch of the U.S. Mint, a place that had been producing coins since the very birth of the nation. Philadelphia's presses clanked and roared, turning metal into currency destined for everyday use, never intending that some of its products would become objects of passion and intense desire decades later. For now, though, millions of these coins entered circulation with purpose and anonymity. When the 2002P Sacagawea dollars were first released, most Americans barely registered their presence. They were spent on snacks, bus rides, concert tickets, and toll roads without a second thought. To the casual spender, the coin was simply another piece of currency, a means of exchange, not a treasure. Yet that very ordinariness is part of what makes the story of this coin so compelling, that hidden potential can sometimes lie in the most unremarkable places. As years passed, most of these golden dollars accumulated wear. Surfaces dulled, detail softened, and the vibrant aura they once carried faded into the background of everyday transactions. But something remarkable happened. A tiny fraction of these coins escaped the grind of circulation. Some were saved by collectors. Others were tucked away in drawers, wallets, albums, and jars that were never opened again. These survivors kept their original luster, their crisp details, and their stories untold. Condition is the heartbeat of coin collecting. A coin that has survived decades untouched is not just old, it is rare. Mint state survivors, coins that show no wear from circulation, are the holy grail for collectors, especially when they come from popular series or designs that were once common. When a 2002P Sacagawea dollar retains its original brilliance, it becomes a bridge between the moment of its creation and the moment of rediscovery. Imagine holding such a coin under bright light, its golden surface glowing with an intensity that seems to defy time. The details on Sacagawea's portrait remain sharp, her features clear, her expression vivid. The reverse, where the soaring eagle once carved another layer of symbolism, retains every nuance. That is not just metal, that is history preserved in copper alloy, whispering stories that only the observant can hear. And this is where the magic of numismatics comes alive. A coin like this is not valuable because it is old. It is valuable because so few survived in pristine condition. So many were used, worn, forgotten, lost, or tossed aside that the ones which endured untouched carry a rarity that collectors deeply prize. The rarer a coin, and the better its condition, the higher the desire, and sometimes the higher the price. But beyond pristine condition, there lurks the thrill of variation and chance. In every large batch of coins struck, small differences can occur. Slight die anomalies, minute differences in metal flow, or unexpected traits that make one specimen different from millions of others. These subtle irregularities are often invisible to the untrained eye, but to a collector, they can make all the difference. A slight variation or a unique surface characteristic can elevate a coin from merely collectible to truly remarkable. Collectors love a story of discovery. They speak in hushed tones about coins found in forgotten albums or old change jars. A coin that looked ordinary at first glance suddenly reveals its brilliance under close inspection. The heart races. The breath hangs for a moment. Realization dawns that what was once pocket change may have slipped through the ages untouched, a tiny miracle in metal form. This blend of survival, condition, and potential variation is what gives the 2002 Sacagawea dollar its emotional charge in the collector world. It is not just another dollar coin. It is a testament to time, to resilience, and to the countless hands through which it passed unnoticed. It is proof that even the smallest, most overlooked object can one day be recognized for its rare beauty. The emotional gravity of this coin also comes from the story it tells, a narrative that starts with the contributions of Sacagawea herself, a woman whose wisdom and courage helped shape the earliest exploration of the continent. That narrative reaches forward into 2002, a year when the world was changing rapidly, and coins like this became silent witnesses to history in motion. Numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is as much about these stories as it is about value. People do not collect coins simply for profit. They collect them because each coin is a snapshot of a moment in time, a little slice of human culture that survived long enough to be appreciated again. A pristine 2002 Sacagawea dollar is not just currency, it is a portable piece of history. And then, there is the dream, the ever-present dream in the coin world, that someone somewhere might be holding a coin that is not just rare, but exceptionally so. A coin that, when examined and certified, turns out to be more than just mint state, but a specimen so superb that it stands out even among other high-grade survivors. The kind of coin that can command extraordinary attention and astonishing prices at auction. The idea that a single 2002 Sacagawea dollar could one day fetch a price high enough to astonish even seasoned collectors is not born out of fantasy alone. It is born from the real nature of how rarity and condition shape value in the coin market. When demand meets scarcity, especially for a coin with a beloved design and compelling story, prices can skyrocket in ways that seem unbelievable. Yet even beyond potential monetary value, this coin carries something more subtle. A reminder that everyday objects can contain extraordinary stories if we choose to look closely. A worn vehicle of commerce becomes, in the right context, a vessel of curiosity, connection, and wonder. The coin's value becomes as much emotional and historical as it is financial. So when someone holds a 2002 Sacagawea dollar that still shines like it did the day it left the mint, they're not just holding metal. They are holding a story, a narrative that spans centuries, from Sacagawea's courageous footsteps across the continent to the bustling world of the modern era. They are holding a connection to history, a testament to survival, and a reminder that within the ordinary can lie the extraordinary. For the lucky collector who discovers such a coin, 1.